All right, so today is Sunday, the 3rd of May, and that marks the end of the second sprint where I plan to focus on the heads-up display. The heads-up display is one of the most important parts of a game. Every game has it, whether it's a health bar, a scoreboard, a speedometer, a mission tracker. It can be anything on your screen. It's very, very important. So that's why I wanted to get it done early. Let's get into it. All right, so back inside the Unity editor, you can see it already looks a lot different than it did 2 weeks ago. Let me show you what had changed. So 2 weeks ago, I could only move around, in all four directions, jump, attack, and sprint. So now I added the heads-up display, which in this case is the health and stamina bars in the bottom left, the keybinds in the bottom right, and the mission control tab at the top right, which you can toggle on and off using the Q button on your keyboard. So I will be the first to say that this is not the final version of my heads-up display. I am really satisfied with how it looks at the moment, especially the health and stamina bars at the bottom left. And I try to integrate that same style to the missions and the keybinds, but that didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it, especially for the missions. The text inside the box is very small and unreadable. So I will look over that again in the future, not in this next sprint, but I'll get into that later. But for the rest, I am really happy with this concept, and it's a good base to work off of in the future, and it makes the game look so much more alive already. All right, so back in the Trello workspace, let's go over what I've managed to finish in this past sprint. As you can see, there is still some stuff in the backlog, but that is not from this past sprint. That's just other remaining stuff that still needs to be done. So I actually finished each and every single one of my goals that I've set for myself for this sprint, starting with the health and stamina bars, which, as you saw, has been completed. And then I also wanted to add a stamina system. I'll quickly explain how it works. You have 100 stamina to start with. That's also the maximum. You use 20 stamina for a jump, 15 stamina for a attack. You use 10 stamina per second for sprinting. You regain stamina at a rate of 8 stamina per second while resting when you're not moving at all. And when you're walking, not sprinting, you regain 4 stamina per second. And then I also added the control tooltips in the bottom right. Once again, this is not the final version of them, so I'll be looking into that in a later sprint to make them look better than they currently do, because I do think that's a very realistic possibility. And then also for the mission tracker, yes, I did finish it, but this is definitely not the final version for that, mostly because the way that I did it right now would be very inefficient if I had actual missions to go off of. Now it's just an example to show how it works. Then I also did a small code refactor, and what I did, I noticed in my code that the escape button to unlock the cursor so you can exit the game was just bound in the code, not in Unity itself. So I removed the keybind from the code in the update method and moved it to a Unity keybind. There's a bunch more that went into that, but I'm not going to bore you with the technical details. So there's nothing I didn't really finish over this sprint, so I can skip over that. And then my goals for the next one, arguably much more important. So for the next sprint, I want to work on the first piece of the actual environment. I want to start putting objects into the game itself. So I'm going to create the home base for our protagonist. And he's going to be based out of a garage that he finds throughout the game. So my goals for this sprint are to create the outside of the garage, create the interior of the garage, And lastly, I also want to create the sit down animation when the protagonist sits down at his desk to work on his computer. So create the sit down animation. Those are my goals for the next sprint, and I'll create the actual cards for each of these later today. So when you see this video and decide to check out the Trello via the link in my description, you might see them, might not yet. Depends on when you're seeing them, and I maybe have even started working on one or two of them. So that is the review of my previous 2 weeks. I am very thankful for having you here, and I'm very excited to continue showing you the progress that I'm making.